Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast, brought to you from I Music and Podcast Studios in downtown Boulder City. This is your host, Jill Lagan, CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. In each episode, we will highlight what makes Boulder City, home of the Hoover Dam, the ideal place to operate your small business, explore world-class tourism attractions, and discover why we are the perfect place to live and unwind.
Today is going to be a fun day because we get to visit and talk makeup with the beautiful Miss Denise Senko, who I call lovingly Dee Dee. So we're going to go with that. I know other people have called you Mrs. Senko, and there have been many who probably were scared to call you Mrs. Senko. However, I'm so glad you're here today and that we get to talk to our beautiful Mary Kay representative. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So I say all that leading into you are the former dean of Boulder City High School.
Correct.
And prior to that, you were the one of the teachers.
Yes.
Okay.
I taught at the high school for 11 years and as a science teacher and mostly biology and that type of curriculum. Yeah. And then was the dean at Boulder City High School for 4 years.
And I know you were at Courtney also, right?
Yes, I retired as an assistant principal at Courtney Junior High School.
Very good. So you have served our students well for so long, so thank you very much for that. So we also have to talk about your other part of your life, which is chamber life. And so beautiful Dee Dee is also a volunteer at the chamber currently. She is a past board member of the Chamber of Commerce. She understands entrepreneurship and this community and bringing tourists in, guests in, helping residents answer questions, create solutions, and being a part of a great team. So thank you very much for all your service there, too.
Thank you. I love it. It is a lot of fun having the opportunity to work with the chamber and to work with happy visitors that are coming to our state and local area. It's really great.
And you do get a lot of interesting, we have stories and questions that we tease all the time, but we've talked about writing a book. But when you're working with the guests that are coming in, they're coming into a Nevada State Welcome Center. They don't know much about Nevada, possibly. They're visiting. They don't know anything about Boulder City. And it gives you the opportunity to kind of share that message. But we have some funny stories that have evolved over the years that we keep teasing that we're going to write a book because there's been some experiences. There are some crazy questions that people will call on the phone and ask us crazy things. And so you've had quite an experience.
Absolutely. I had, and I'll try to keep this clean for your audience.
Thank you.
But anyway, probably the funniest thing that I had happened when I was a tour guide at Hoover Dam. I was a tour guide in the summers full time for 10 years. And it was a great experience to be able to work down there. What a fun place. And yeah, over the years, had a lot of interesting things that happened down there. But probably the funniest thing, I had a tour that they put me on a special tour of 200 Taiwanese people. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How does one person handle that? Okay.
Normally we would take like a group of 70 or so and it'd be like three groups of 35 or so or three groups of 20 or whatever. And on this particular time, they had all these Taiwanese tourists and the only one that spoke English was the guide who had the flag. The
interpreter guide, yeah.
Yes. No one else in the group that I knew of spoke English. And so it would take them through the dam, and all I could do really was answer the guide's questions, but I would point at something and say, "Dam, click," and that meant,
take a picture.
Yeah, or generator, click. And so we get to the end of the tour, and of course you have to visualize that these were people who were all very shorter than I. They were probably all about 4 foot tall, maybe a little over 4 feet. So I was looking over their heads. It was this sea of 200 heads that I was looking over for the whole tour. And very, very sweet people. I mean, they were wonderful and walked along and did whatever. But we got to the end of the tour, and I had been talking to the guide all along about the different things that we saw. And finally, he said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Well, sure." And he said, "Why do American women have bigger boobies than Taiwanese women?" Well, he had been at that height the whole time. So
And I'm pretty sure they did not train you on how to answer that question as you
no,
became a guide at the dam.
that was a new one for sure. So anyway, I just smiled and I said, I don't know, I guess genetics. And then I just said, and this is the end of your tour. Thank you very much for coming.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And people, I mean, he wasn't trying to be disrespectful or
Not at
rude. It was
all.
just a question.
It was just a question.
And so I think you handled that well.
Thank you. But it was funny. We've laughed about it over the years.
Yeah, that's one of those that stays with you and you
One,
get to keep track of.
one
And
of the most unusual questions I think I ever had.
so I have had a few others that people have called the office, and we've had people think that we're like the cooperative extension, and they want to know what temperature they cook their turkey at during Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember Chief Sears, he goes, I don't know, hold on. And he yells in the office, and Rain and I are sitting there, and he yells out, hey, ladies, what temperature do they cook a turkey at? And I remember thinking, what are you doing with the phone in your hand asking that question? And realizing that was the question that he was getting, and he did not know, and he was looking for other experts to help him. And anyway, it was awesome. So we have some of the questions are very interesting, and we get to help a lot of people.
Yes, we do.
So very grateful for the experiences that we were having. Okay, so let's talk about your day job right now, right? Because we are very lucky to have you as one of our chamber investors, and that allows us to share your information about the services you provide. And having been a client of yours, I know that you make people happy, you improve their lives, and you are doing great things for people to help make them feel good about themselves. So can you kind of share a little bit about what it is you do?
Well, thank you. Yes, I am an independent Mary Kay sales director, and I've actually been with the company since 1989.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And I've loved every minute of it. And I actually started when I was a teacher. And I was a teacher and I was working at the dam part-time. And I wanted something else that would help give me some flexibility in my life. And I found that working with Mary Kay, I was able to help people to feel better about themselves, look better. And it was really teaching about skincare and color and things like that. And it fit into my life very well. And so I was able to work that into my life. I've just been doing it ever since and absolutely love it.
Well, there's another level there, though, too, that you haven't mentioned, and that's the fact that you create entrepreneurs. You create small business owners, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes, because we do have the ability to work with other women and in teams and things like that. So absolutely, helping other women to succeed is a really important part of it.
To not only feel good about the way they look and know that they're doing it in a healthy fashion, but also to help them build their own business and provide them the ability to then, like you were searching out, look for that flexibility. Maybe they're a stay-at-home mom and they just need that added revenue that comes in, cash flow. But also, it gives them an ability to go out and be around other adults sometimes. And sometimes we just crave that as parents. But then I would imagine that one of your goals is to constantly be able to walk across that fancy stage in your fancy dress. And so that recognition, it means something to people. People need to feel valued. And Mary Kay seems to have, in my mind, really established that. It's multi-level marketing that provides assistance at every level and encourages them to strive to be better and motivates them to take it to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So have you had an aha moment in your life? I would imagine as a teacher, you probably had many aha moments, maybe something in a classroom, maybe a student that has come up to you afterwards and said, thank you.
I actually have. And I think that's probably one of the greatest rewards that you can have as a teacher is to either when you see, and you literally can when you're in the classroom and you're a teacher and a student gets what you're trying to teach, you can literally see the light bulb go on over their head. I mean, maybe not literally, but it's like, oh my gosh, they get it. And that is such a joy to be able to see that. And just being able to help students. Over the years, I've had several students who have come back and said, I am where I am today because of your classroom and things like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, your leadership or what you said or what you
Yeah.
did, or you kicked my butt right at the right time when I needed it, and now thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I would
And
imagine.
here we are. Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that you've shared this story with me in the past, and it has a little bit to do with spending evenings at the school with your phenomenal husband, Bob. So can you kind of share a little bit about some of those evenings you spent with phenomenal Bob?
Yes. Well, when I was the dean at Boulder City High School, I happened to be the only administrator at the time that lived here in Boulder City, and the other administrators lived in Vegas.
Oh,
And at night, sometimes something would trip the alarms at the school. And they would, at that time, I don't know what they're doing now, but at that time, they would send one of
you.
the administrators. And
Oh,
okay, so imagine at 2 o'clock in the morning, the alarms are going off at the school, and they call the dean and say, you need to go down and check it out. So, okay.
that's a little
That
nerve-wracking.
was. And so, of course, I would drag my husband out of bed, bless his heart, and he would say, okay, let's go. And so one night we went down, and it was a bank of rooms. That's how they were alarmed. It was like 4 rooms or 5 rooms at a time that would be alarmed. And that's what was tripping off, and we couldn't figure out what was happening. So we checked all the rooms, nothing's going on. And so we thought, okay, we're good. So we reset the alarm and we go to leave, and nope, the alarm goes off again.
Oh, man.
So,
It's
okay.
all those ants that were in the wall and the wires.
Yes.
I'm telling you, there's ants in there that have been there for generations.
If you ever saw the movie Paint Your Wagon, where the whole town falls in, that's kind of what we thought the ants were going to do at
I
one point
agree.
years ago. It would just fall into the anthill. But anyway, so we tried to figure out what the heck was going on with this alarm system, and we thought, well, maybe the alarm is messed up or something.
Faulty, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. So it turned out this happened on 2 different occasions, but the one time, the first time, it was a teacher had put up like an eagle poster. It was a cutout of an eagle, and they had stapled it to the bulletin board, but the wing was on
Flapping.
top, and so every time the air conditioner came on, the wing would flap. And of course, you walk into the room and, you don't see anything moving. And so
Right.
you go and leave, and then the ventilation system comes on, and now this thing is flapping again. And so anyway, that took us quite a while to figure that one out. And then the second time that it happened, someone had left a balloon bouquet in
Oh,
the classroom.
mhm.
And as soon as the air started moving, when everything was quiet, then
Yep.
the balloons went.
I can totally picture that. Yeah, those silly eagles and balloons.
Yeah, so a couple of sleepless nights figuring that out.
Well, I'm very glad, though, that you are safe because that could have been kind of scary. And that campus is big, so trying to clear that entire campus.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Well,
So, and if there was an issue, we could, if we saw that there was really something like a door open or something like that, we could certainly call the police.
Right.
But at that time, the first line of
first
defense
responder.
was, yes, call an administrator.
So, since you were a first responder, I wonder if you get all those discounts and those special meals for first responders.
I wish I did, but no.
That's awesome. So let's share a little bit more about your Mary Kay business. So traditionally, how do people find you? How do people know that you offer this? How do they get to you?
It's mainly
Word of mouth.
word of mouth.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
guess.
it
Yeah.
really is. I really prefer to work my business person to person. And it's a lot of a happy customer shares their happiness with others.
Right.
And that's really how it gets going. Or if you do a little get together with somebody else, then
And
they
you
learn
work
about it.
You work a lot of booth type events too, marketplaces. So Spring Jam, and you've done wine walks, and so those are other ways that you can share that information. I would imagine too, as somebody says, "Oh my gosh, your face looks great. What are you doing?"
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so that probably is the
Yes.
strongest. And
Definitely looking sharp and looking professional.
Well, and
doing.
that's another thing, looking professional, because I know that I've learned over the years that you do your demonstrations if you go into a home or if you're doing a presentation, you're always in a dress. You always look professional. And I find that you're dressed you dress yourself to the level of expertise and professionalism that you want to not only showcase, but also I would imagine it helps you to feel more professional too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It has been a tradition with the company that we do. We dress professionally. Now, if I'm meeting someone in a park or I'm doing something like that, of course
Right.
I'm going to dress appropriately for
Right.
that. But
Yes, you don't need to wear a gown.
no.
I love that. So, okay, so I want to learn a little bit more about Dee Dee. I already probably know most of these answers, so maybe I'll answer
do.
for you. So, I would imagine that you probably had a pretty fun first job. What was the very first job you ever had?
Well, I grew up on a farm
Oh.
and we raised sheep. So
Yeah.
we had about 1,000 head of sheep. And of course, we had all the goats and the geese and the horses and the dogs and the cats and all those other things. So I grew up, and it was in Michigan. And I still have that farm today.
Yes.
So that's home. That's
Yeah, I can't imagine. Granted, not really a city girl. It was a Boulder City girl, but we definitely did not deal with that kind of stuff. And so that just sounds like a messy lifestyle, but you loved it.
I did, yeah. Yeah. Growing up with great ethics of hard work and getting the job done. And you work till you get the job done.
Right.
And plus, the bonus was that when you sling heavy hay bales and pitch manure all day, you can eat anything you want. You never gain weight.
Yep. And you're eating wholesome, whole foods, raw foods.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
So,
I'm so glad that your mom kept that farm and that you still have that. That's a legacy.
Yeah, and my parents were wonderful, wonderful people, wonderful role models. Just a really great way to grow up.
So what's a lesson that you learned from them that you still utilize today? Is there a mantra or some kind of a way you treat people? What's something that they taught you? I have something about
Absolutely.
your dad, but
The golden rule really was that was the way they felt about everybody, is do unto others as you would have them do unto you, really. And my parents were very, very positive, very they always wanted to help, and they always were optimistic and
happy.
Happy.
I would say they were happy for what I know of them.
Yeah.
Your
It
dad
was a
cracked
happy
me up.
childhood.
So your dad, you had brought him to the office a couple times, and he'd sit there in the lobby and just interact with people, and he tried picking up on Raina, and we had so much fun with him. He was just a joy.
He would talk to everyone.
Yes.
You should have seen him on a cruise. We went on an Alaskan cruise. Well, he had this captive audience on the cruise, and he would talk to anybody that would go by. He would go down and get an ice cream cone and stand there by the pool, and just anybody that came by, he wanted to talk to them.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how I learned to talk to people.
Well, and was that really a farm thing? Because on a farm, you're so spread out from everybody. So how did he socialize? Or maybe
He had 8 brothers and sisters.
Oh.
And so he grew up in a big family.
Got
And so I have this huge extended family of aunts and uncles, and unfortunately a lot of them are gone now, but cousins and things like that that I still see. And so, he loved to be with people. My mother, on the other hand, was an only child.
Oh,
So
so
it
just
was
like you.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting the way they both grew up.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
And obviously she had way more decision-making power with just one of you.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, though. And you know what? Having those roots and having that family history and that support system, it's what makes you who you are, I think.
Thank you.
Well, so one of my favorite questions, and you know why I asked this question, because I find it fascinating to know a little bit more about the inside person, what makes you tick, and I can usually learn from what book you're reading.
Oh, right now, I love to read, and so I read multiple books. I like a lot of the business help books and things like that. But one of the things that I enjoy any kind of a backstage tour. I love to see how things work. I would rather go see a show in Vegas from behind the scenes than I would, well, maybe not rather, but both. I want
Yeah.
to see the show, but I also want to see how it's
How the
made and
sausage is
how,
made.
yes,
Yeah.
how it's done. And so one of the books that I'm reading right now it's called Upstairs at the White House.
Oh,
And it is this story, I think it's J.B. West is the
yeah.
author. And anyway, he was if you would call him the butler, the usher for the White House during the years from, and I'm not all the way through the book, but I think it ends with Mrs. Nixon, but it starts with Mrs. Roosevelt.
Oh,
And it's his life with the first ladies.
huh.
And it's really a look at how the White House operated with the first ladies and what did they do. And it tells you a little bit about what else is happening, what the presidents are doing at that time, and what was Roosevelt doing, what was Truman doing, and so on.
Hmm.
But it really focuses on the first ladies and what they were doing. So I have loved it. What a great book.
Yeah, I'm going to read that
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it was good.
you know how much I love Washington, D.C.
Mhm,
And you
absolutely.
and I got to go together and representing the Boulder City Chamber of
Yes.
Commerce and absolutely love that place. Cannot wait to go back in September again. And one of my favorite places is the White House Visitor Center that is right there by the Postal Building and across the street from the White House. And I stay in the hotel across the street from that. And I love that because it is the behind the scenes.
Mhm.
It shows the kids. It shows Jimmy Carter putting Amy in a tree house in a fort that he built for her. And he's back there playing, and they're playing kickball. And it shows, I remember Trump's first administration, it showed a picture of a soccer net that Barron would go out and play soccer in the Rose Garden. And would he be out there kicking the ball around? And all of the tennis courts and Obama's kids, his girls out there playing in the jungle gyms. And I love to see that. The dinnerware that they
Yes.
have and the behind the scenes, what's going on.
Mhm.
That the Carters would sit there with TV trays. And I think if I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Carter's, but maybe it was also Reagan's. But they'd have dinner trays in their own personal residence. And I'm like, they had a TV dinner on a TV tray. I mean, I just love that because it makes them human.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I love seeing that. And so, speaking of traveling, though, you've traveled all over the place. You've seen a lot of behind the scenes.
I do. I love to travel. In fact, I counted the other day.
Oh.
I've been to 21 countries, and in the United States, I've been to every state except 2 of them.
Wow.
And so and you would think it's weird, but I accidentally missed going to Mississippi, and I accidentally missed going to South Carolina. So yeah, so that's on my list that I'm gonna go see them all. But anyway, yeah, love all of the travel, and we got into cruising and enjoyed that kind of thing, and just being able to see the world from the comfort of a cruise and still take the
Yes.
tours and things like that. I
Feel
like that
that.
too.
Yeah, those excursions always mean something. You didn't have to pack and unpack 16,000
Yes.
times as we did for our China trip.
Yes.
So
but
that was also,
awesome.
that was, again, representing the chamber, and that was a lot of fun. And talk about some funny stories that we probably shouldn't share. Because at this point, Raina's going to kick my butt for telling all of her funny stories. But I love traveling as well. And I think there's an educational process. It does not at all surprise me that you and before Bob loved to travel and now Mark loved to travel. And I think it opens your eyes to other cultures, other communities, other individuals, and it helps educate you about them. And it makes you understand and appreciate them more.
Absolutely. My dad used to say, people are people no matter where you go.
That's right.
And I so believe that everywhere you go, just treat everybody the way you would want to be treated, and you'll be fine.
And especially as we are representatives of our country in other countries. I remember having the conversation as we were leaving. Actually, I think it was with Carolyn, with Bob's sister, talking about we are representatives of America, and we're there in China. And we found, hopefully you can verify this, but I felt like they were such a kind, loving, and they could not wait to learn more about us, to be around us. And it really changed my entire mindset of the people of China, not maybe governmental, political issues, but the people were just so warm, inviting, and could not wait to be around us.
Yes, absolutely they were. Yeah. They would hold their children up.
Yeah.
To
Well,
get pictures taken with us.
yeah, that has something to do with blonde hair
I
people.
think so.
Oh my goodness. Yes, so we've had some great experiences and very grateful for all of that you have done. Do you want to leave us with maybe a little message? You've had a lot of experience with the chamber. Is there something that you value in the chamber? What is it that you see is makes the chamber relevant?
Well, Jill, you have a great part in that, of course.
Well, I wasn't fishing for that, but thank you.
But you really are, because you're really the face of our Chamber of Commerce, and you work tirelessly to make this work.
Well, thank you.
And to help support our community. I really think that the Chamber it's really for anyone who wants to network, who wants to broaden their horizons a little bit more, be able to see what our community is doing, what we're about, even be able to help affect some change if you feel strongly about something and you want to help and work. And the events that we do bring more people to our community so that we are really able to let the world see what a great place we have to live in.
Yeah. We get them here and then tell them the story.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Well, thank you so much. It's been fun visiting with you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
I can't say learning more about you because I kind of could have told most of those stories, but I really appreciate it. We sure appreciate all your years of service to the chamber. I think it's almost been as long as mine, and so I'm very grateful for that and continued investment in our community and our chamber, and I wish you all the success. I can imagine you're going to walk across that stage in your ball gown again and get another pretty ring or something. Soon you're going to have that car, right?
We're working on it.
Oh, I cannot wait for a ride in the pink car. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This episode of the Best Damn Podcast has been a production of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce, brought to you from I Music and Podcast Studios. Please check out all the links and social media handles on our website as well at bouldercitychamber.com. You can find the Best Damn Podcast on all your favorite podcast directories. Like us and share on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, discover, explore, and unwind in Boulder City.